Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I'm Daniel Montgomery here with fellow senior editor at Gold Derby, Joyce Eng, along our contributors, Cordell Martin and Jeffrey Kare. We're here to talk about the upcoming season premiere of Dancing with the Stars. As we're recording this, the cast for season 27 was announced about a week ago, actually exactly a week ago as we're recording this. On September 12th, those were announced. First off, Cordell, what are your early thoughts about this cast? And I will give the names of everyone in a minute.
Yeah, just looking at the cast, I mean, there isn't that one standout celebrity that they normally like to cast, whether it's like a Christy Alley or Pamela Anderson or someone controversial like a Bristol Palin. I think this cast is kind of has their own little niche target audience. So I think this might be one of those seasons where it's going to be hard to predict who's going to win, which should make it for a competitive season.
Yeah, and so on that entire list, we've got Tinashe. If I'm mispronouncing anyone's name, I apologize. Tinashe, an R&B singer who has some dance experience, quite a lot of dance experience, actually. She should be on So You Think You Can Dance, probably. Juan Pablo de Passe, who is an actor on Fuller House. Nikki Glazer, who's a comedian who I'm personally a fan of, so I'm excited to see her on the roster. DeMarcus Ware, who's an NFL player, Alexis Wren, who I believe is a model. I'm not sure what else is on her resume. Nancy McKeon, an actress from The Facts of Life. Ivana Lynch, who played Luna Lovegood in the Harry Potter films. Milo Manheim, who I believe is 17 and is an actor, the son of actress Cameron Manheim. Mary Lou Retton, the Olympic gymnast. John Schneider, the former Duke of Hazzard. Joe Amabile, who is Grocery Store Joe from The Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise, which I only know because they keep calling him that. I know nothing about him going into this.
Bachelor person.
Yeah, then Bobby Bones, who is a radio personality, and Danelle Umstead, who is a Paralympic skier. She's actually the first visually impaired dancer in the show's history, so it'll be interesting to see if she can follow in the footsteps of some of the more successful like Paralympians and people who have overcome disabilities, like Niall DeMarco, who won the show even though a few seasons ago, even though he's completely deaf, which is impressive for a dance show. If there are two things you need in a dance competition, you would think it's hearing and vision. So we found out you could win without one. It'll be interesting if we could see you win without another one. Jeffrey, do you have any thoughts about these or initial frontrunners that pop out to you?
Well, I agree with some of the points Cordell brought up of how this season definitely seems competitive, given that there's no one standout among the contestants. Oh, I mean, I guess there are a couple that are probably one to watch. Like there's Ivana Lynch, who, I mean, again, she may have a niche fan base, but then again, she's a Harry Potter alumni, so you can't discount the Harry Potter fan base. And John Schneider, who, of course, he has the nostalgia factor, not only from Dukes of Hazzard, so he has that target audience, but also the target audience who got to know him as Jonathan Kent on Smallville. So there's those two on target audiences he has, not to mention that he has a performing background, not only as a recording artist but also in musical theater, so he may be one to watch as well.
And Joyce, you were talking before we started recording about how none of these, or very few of these celebrities were familiar to you, and it was much the same to me. What are your initial thoughts about this lineup?
I agree with what everyone just said. It's a very low-key cast this season. It's like no one, there's not that like one or two celebrity like everyone is writing about preseason. So I feel like this season we could have a lot of surprises, like like who does well and who doesn't. I think what's most interesting is that they gave Tinashe Brandon Armstrong, who is a new pro.
Yeah.
Like they gave the ringer to the new pro. So I think like that's great for him, but also he's untested with a fan base, so it might even out if people think, you know, she shouldn't be on the show because she already has dance experience. But you know, he's not. It's not like he's like Val or, you know, like Cheryl, or obviously Cheryl wouldn't be with her, even though maybe they should do like same-sex
That would be exciting.
pairings one day.
At some point.
But you know, like he's not. He's a newbie. He's not a veteran, so he doesn't have a built-in fan base yet. So maybe that will like even out with anyone who thinks Tinashe should not be in the cast.
Yeah, I feel like it is a little odd that they gave her to the new guy. Like, I remember they made such a big deal when they elevated Alan Burston to pro status after so many years on the troupe and so many years filling in occasionally for an injured dancer on the show. You know, but he's had to pay his dues. He hasn't gotten any ringers.
Or like KO.
Or Keo has spent 7 seasons. They keep giving Keo like the older, you know, legend or personality, you know, who's not going to last past week 2.
And this time he has Ivana Lynch.
Yeah,
which is actually a little better. I'm excited for the potential. She has a potential fan base.
How pissed do you think he is? Like, he's like, I had to wait so long to get someone like Ivana, and you give Tinashe to Brandon.
I feel like if I were Keo or if I were Artem, I would be mad. I remember when Artem got Nancy Kerrigan, the reaction was, I got an Olympian. Like, he was so excited to have gotten someone who could actually maybe keep up. And so, you know, this season, he's got a potential candidate. You know, if she has a good rhythm, if they have good chemistry, her story being a visually impaired dancer, we've seen those stories go quite far. But we obviously have no idea. Like, if it's completely 2 left feet, which has nothing to do with vision, if she just does not have any kind of natural rhythm on the dance floor, it's not gonna take either of them very far. So it's a big question mark. That's one of the things that excites me the most about kind of a really unknown cast, is that, you know, any one of these could be the breakout you're not expecting, and any one of them could just fall flat and be like, okay, they're gone. Because there are only really 2 or 3 who I think I'm really closely watching. You know, Tinashe, who has dance experience. Juan Pablo does have some theatrical, musical theater experience, which often translates very well. And DeMarcus Ware, just because NFL players have proven that skill set unusually but consistently translates really well to Dancing with the Stars.
And he has Lindsay, who is great with all her partners.
Yes, and she's so great at drawing them out in terms of their personality, and she always has such great chemistry with all of her partners. So those 3, I think, aren't set, but I feel like I'll feel comfortable that they're going to make it at least halfway through, probably. You know, it's everyone else. It could be, you know, up or down. Nancy McKeon, I don't know if she's going to be able to dance, but she's got Val. That's a huge get for her.
Yeah.
So that alone could keep her in the competition for a few weeks. Mary Lou Retton, you know, she's a gymnast, and, you know, most of the gymnasts have gotten either 4th or 1st in past seasons. So we should be able to count on her to get that far, but she's an older, like, retired gymnast. We have not seen that scenario play out. She would be the oldest woman to win the competition ever. She's 50, and she would be a few months older than Jennifer Grey was when she won by the time the finale rolls around, if she goes that far. So there's a lot of question marks in here. Is there anyone, Cordell, who you are expecting kind of, well, it's hard to tell, but are expecting, okay, you'll probably go early, if not first?
I would say probably John Schneider. He just, although, you know, I think out of all the contestants, probably next like DeMarcus, I think he does have a huge fan base. I mean, he has the nostalgia factor that Jeffrey mentioned with Dukes of Hazzard and Smallville, but also he's on the highest rated show on OWN, the Haves and Have Not. So that's another demographic too that will know who he is. But I'm getting David Hasselhoff vibes from him, so I think he might be a hot mess on the show. Someone else who I think might be early contender to go home is Bobby Bones, but I feel like he might be like a David Ross of the season, just because I think the country fan base. I mean, you look at Kelly Pickler, Jana Kramer, Sarah Evans, before she had to drop out. I mean, they have a pretty solid and dedicated fan base, and I think he will be able to last a lot longer than we would probably predict him to. So,
yeah. What about you, Jeffrey?
I don't know. I mean, I am kind of nervous for Ivana, given Kyo's track record, where he's been the first to be eliminated 3 times, and he finished 11th place twice. And I mean, he didn't improve last season, albeit it was short and truncated. So we don't know.
They eliminated. He finished 4th, but they eliminated 2 other couples at the same time. So I honestly think it's more like finishing 6th again.
Yeah.
Which matches his best ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what about you, Joyce?
I can see Alexis Ren leaving first. Just like models don't usually do well on the show, and like unlike the older people, like she is not established. She doesn't have like a fan base from yesteryear or currently. Although I just read she has like 13 million Instagram followers, but I don't think all of them will be voting for her on the show. So I could see her going early. And yeah, I could see Bobby Bones going away, like Mike Catherwood, just because he's, a radio guy. Like no one knows what he really looks like. Although he's actually one of the few I actually knew about beforehand because he hosts a radio show with Andy Roddick. I've never listened to it, but Andy and his wife Brooklyn Decker always like tweet like back and forth on like social media with him. So I just want him to last so they could like be part of one of his packages or like go to a show. But it would not surprise me if he
Andy Roddick to compete on the show next season.
I know. They haven't had a tennis star in a while and they don't usually do well. So yeah, and yeah, I don't know, like the old people I could see them going early or like going in the middle or like finishing 4th.
Yeah, it's interesting with the older contestants because this season, I'm putting that in quotes because a lot of times you'll get like the 60-something, 70-something competitor who just won't be able to keep up. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, bless his heart. These people, just don't have the physicality anymore, at least, to really keep up with this level of competition. This year, I think the oldest is John Schneider, and he's in his late 50s. Like he's still of an age and still
he can be spry.
He can be spry. I can see him being able to keep up to a certain degree. Maybe not as much as the younger ones necessarily, but I could see him being surprisingly good. Like I think all of our expectations are somewhat low for him. So the bar he needs to clear on night 1 is going to be like, oh, he stayed upright. That was pretty good. And so that could carry him through, especially if he has the personality for it. One I'm worried about is Milo Manheim, where
I remember when Cameron Manheim was pregnant with him, so I feel very old. Because I remember she gave birth like right before she turned 40, and it was like a big news story.
Yep.
And it's but with him, it's like he's like, does he bring this really active young fan base?
I don't know. I've never heard of the show he's on
Exactly.
or whatever Disney movie. He's just a token Disney guy.
Well, the TV movie was Zombies, which premiered back in February.
Did you watch it?
Oh, no.
Was he good?
No, so he might be, I guess, too recent, to really be as well established as the others.
Yeah, so he's a young guy. He's, if you're younger, you at least, I would think you have the potential to have the stamina, but you might not have the performance quality. Like he could be Jake T. Austin, who I remember was another children's TV star who season 23. Jenna Johnson, her first full season on the show, she was paired with him. They were eliminated first. So
and he had a much longer resume than Milo.
Yeah, so he could just come out of nowhere and be like really surprising and charming, or he could just kind of fall flat and just no one cares, and his fan base, whatever fan base he's developed, doesn't really activate for him because maybe the people who watched Zombies aren't watching Dancing with the Stars necessarily just for him. So I think he's one who really needs a good first night.
Yeah.
Or really terrible first night. Like the worst thing for him will be to be like second
middle of the
third
pack
from the bottom.
Yeah.
Where he's expendable and no one thinks they need to fight for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is what happened with Jake, because he was fine.
Yeah, he was okay, and there was nothing really remarkable or unremarkable about him. Well, let's talk a little bit about the kind of what will probably be the elephant in the room is all of Tinashe's dance experience. When I was just looking her up, researching her, I was like, she started dance training when she was like 3, or and she
danced with like Janet Jackson, like
she was a competitive dancer, during parts of her upbringing, and it's like, okay, that's a lot of. It's not like, oh, I took tap classes as a kid. It's like, no, this was your life for years. So it'll be interesting to see how that trickles out. I could see a backlash form, Heather Morris style, because she is at that level of experience, if not greater than Heather Morris. But at the same time, if there are no other standouts, if there are no other really remarkable performers, then I have a feeling voters are going to stick with her just because it's like, okay, well, she's all we got. Like, who are we going to have in the finale if we?
I could see her being like a Normani and just coming up short like at the end, because then by that point, even if no one is a better dancer than her, they might have a better personality, or just people just like latch on to someone you don't expect like right now. And she could be like a surprise boot, like maybe like a Sabrina Ryan or something, like in like 7th place, or just in 4th place before the finale. Like people think she's safe, or like oh, she has experience, am I going to vote for her? And then she falls short.
No, I agree.
Is there anyone particularly from this list who you're actually excited to see? You're just looking forward to what they have to bring, Cordell?
I would say probably 2 celebrities. Tinashe, I think she's going to do really well on the show. I think for her, it's just going to depend on 2 things. What Brandon brings to the table in terms of the choreography. He's really going to have to make sure he steps up to the plate and really showcase her skill set. And then also her personality. She has the dance experience like her Normani or Maya, but what they were lacking was just that connection to the audience. And if she's not able to connect to the audience, I mean, her dance is only going to get her so far, but not give her the Mirrorball trophy. And I'm curious about Ivana Lynch. I think just watching the cast announcement, Theo just looked at peace like, I have a contender, like I'm good this season. So for him, this will be a true test for him to really step up with his choreography and just really showcase what he's all about. And hopefully Ivana can take him to the finals.
What about you, Jeffrey?
Well, since Cordell already took my choice of Ivana Lynch.
You can double up.
Well, yes, but I guess I can, and well, John Schneider should be interesting because, of course, not only I talked about the nostalgia factor he brings, but also his, I guess, background in performing through country music or musical theater. It should be interesting to see what he'll bring to the ballroom, and I guess same could be done for Juan Pablo Di Pace because again he's someone with a musical theater background, so it should be interesting to see the skills he brings to the ballroom, and and I guess Tinashe as well, given her dance experience.
And what about you, Joyce? I think was it Bobby Bones who you look forward to the most, or
I want to see Bobby Bones last, just so Andy Roddick can like be in the audience. That's all. No, I want to see Mary Lou Retton because me, I love gymnastics and Olympics. And we haven't had an older gymnast. Every gymnast we've had was someone fresh off the Olympics that just happened. So it'd be interesting, and not to, you know, like make this like super serious, but she's paired with Sasha, and Sasha had Simone, and last year before Larry Nassar was sentenced to 60 years in prison, Mary Lou lobbied against a bill to protect victims of sexual assaults, and we know Simone was one of Larry Nassar's victims. So I'm just wondering how that relationship, I don't think the show will touch it at all, but I think that's interesting. Like, I don't know if Sasha knows about that, so I'm interested to see that.
It's interesting with Sasha. He's one of those, like, he's sort of on the trajectory that Lindsay Arnold was on. Every single season Sasha's been on, he has improved. Leading up to last season when he made the top 3 for the first time with Tanya Harding. So only 2 rungs left on that ladder for him. It'll be interesting to see if he can get a seasoned gymnast there when he was paired with Simone Biles, which is interesting.
In fact, I should point out that the things Mary Lou Retton has in common with Simone Biles is that they're both credited with being a pioneer in American women's gymnastics, including by those who have since equaled consecutively.
Yeah, I'm most looking forward to myself because she is so not what I would expect on Dancing with the Stars as Nikki Glaser. Nothing in her career suggests...
I can't see her dancing at all.
Neither can I. That's what's exciting. Nothing in her career, nothing on her resume suggests a dance skill or a lack thereof. Like, I mean, she's never had a reason to dance well or poorly in the past. It could be one of those things where it's like Jake Gyllenhaal does a musical all of a sudden. It's like he can sing, and he can sing quite well. Maybe Nikki Glaser is like that with her feet.
Yeah.
But, you know, in addition, her personality, I love her personality so much. But her comedy is very PG-13 to R rated in terms of its tone, and Dancing with the Stars is very G to PG. So it'll be interesting to see how that connects. Like, I could see her being really charming, really kind of outlandish and fun, or I could see her reining it in and not really landing in terms of, you know, connecting.
I also wonder how like she and like Gleb will hit it off.
I think that's going to be it's an interesting combo. I was thinking that seems like an odd combo to me, but I'm thinking about the other male pros, and I can't think of a better one who, like, you know, whose personality I think he might be able to draw some of the kind of sexy kind of moves that he got out of like Jana Kramer. You know, I feel like we may be able to see a different side of her because of him, because I don't think that they're a natural pair, what I would imagine, but I don't think she had a natural pair that she could have had.
Is there any pairing that surprised you guys besides Tinashe and Brandon?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, some of them made sense, like Mary Lou and Sasha, just because they're both like 5'4".
Yeah, it's funny. Sasha had Tara Jolie, who was the first little person to compete on the show. Mary Lou Retton's only like 7 inches taller than Tara Jolie, so it's in the same ballpark. Interesting, you know, to see Danelle Umstead with Artem. I do not think of Artem as the inspirational story guy. Like, I could see a Val really drawing that kind of story out of her.
That would be good.
Really bringing the sympathy out.
Yeah.
Artem, it's not that his screen presence, his, you know, training presence, when I see him in clip packages, of course you only see a few minutes snippets of what they do behind the scenes. He doesn't come off with the kind of warmth that I think is going to sell that kind of a narrative.
Yep.
He's very serious, like not like mean or anything. Just it's like very like by the book. And
yeah, he's very very business. You know, unless, you know, they have Ricky Martin come in to train them all the time, then he's just going to be a giddy schoolgirl, which is would be delightful. Do that Dancing with the Stars. But yeah, that's an interesting pairing. It doesn't seem like a great fit, but maybe she'll bring something out of him that we haven't seen, which I think it'll help him as much as help her. Yeah, because I think that's one of the reasons he hasn't made it that far, is that he hasn't quite found that connection with a partner or with the audience as a result. So those are the ones that I think are interesting.
Yeah, because his highest is like 6th, right, with Nancy.
6th, yeah, it's Nancy, and actually his first season with Leah Thompson was also 6th.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So, any final thoughts about this upcoming season before it starts on September 24th, Cordell?
I'm just going with an open mind and just enjoying the ride. One thing I will note, I was surprised that they didn't do a cross promotion with the Dance with the Stars juniors. I would have thought they would have cast one of the junior celebrities' parents, like Scottie Pippen or Stevie Wonder or Mama June, just to name a few. So other than that, I'm looking forward to the season and seeing everyone's journey.
How about you, Jeffrey?
Well, I am pretty curious to see what the competition will have in store for us this year. Again, it's unpredictable, so it should be interesting to see, and as well as to watch who will progress more and who will, I guess, stumble in the first couple of weeks.
And Joyce?
Yeah, I want to. It's like everyone complains every year, like, oh, these are nobodies, like, but it's like the Star Wattage is like relatively on par. It's like, yeah, there's no like one like big name or whatever, but I think that makes it more interesting. Like you just don't know who's gonna step up or not. And I am gonna keep track of how many times they mention Jenna and Val's engagement.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Probably many.
Because that's gonna be a storyline. It's gonna be a drinking game.
But they should really, they should really set up that rivalry with Sasha and Emma.
They kind of did, like, after she won, and then they just kind of like let that go.
But like the two couples.
The two couples.
Like, yeah. They should do like the group dance, if they all make it that far, should be those 4 pros. The 2 couples and their partners.
On one team or
on one team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see in my first episodes. What I always look for is who can hang. That's always my first sense. Is you can't always guess who's going to win, but you can guess who has the potential. Like who's up on their feet and has decent rhythm. Maybe rough around the edges, and people who just aren't teachable, and just you can tell that outright, who are cannon fodder. So that's always my first night excitement, is seeing, and you can tell from like the first few steps, it's like, okay, there's something there. Like I remember that Frankie Muniz had that moment in week 1, night 1. It was just like, I did not expect there to be that much there, and I was excited throughout the season. So I want many more Frankie Munizes this season. So with that, we will all be watching Dancing with the Stars on Monday night, and we will be with you later next week to discuss that first episode, what we were right about, what we were wrong about, and what we're still not sure about. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and thank you, all of you, Cordell, Jeffrey, and Joyce, for joining me, and we will see you next week.